So let us look at a portion from 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. Beloved, I urge you as aliens and strangers to abstain from fleshly lusts which wage war against the soul. Keep your behavior excellent amongst Gentiles, so that in the things in which they slander you as evildoers, they may, because of your good deeds, as they observe them, glorify God in the day of visitation. You know, the world is going to slander the true believers, or slander the children of God in the last days. But we have to keep our behavior excellent in the midst of it. This is what I titled in the news this week, Blame Game Continues. And it's surely the blame game. That is what is going on. So if you look at things, New York Times blames white evangelicals and their beliefs for dragging out the pandemic. Remember, in the days of Nero, what happened is this. There was a great fire in Rome. He had to blame it on somebody and conveniently blamed it on the Christians and started a great persecution. One of the saddest and one of the grievous persecutions that the Christian community had to go through in history. Now, those all started because Christians were maligned, they were slandered, and slowly but steadily, when people are all riled up, an accusation would be good enough to take action, because what happens generally in the world is you take action and regret later. That's how it is done. An op-ed in New York Times targets white evangelical faith and political inclination, specifically the mistrust on vaccines, as the all-out cure for COVID-19, labeling them as obstacles to ending the pandemic. See, so Christians, white evangelicals includes Christians also. Well, that's how, that's where the major issue is, that the world has an issue because we believers, we are skeptical about what is being pushed in these last days. We question it, and we are not easily willing to submit ourselves because we understand there is deception and a worldwide deception that is going on, which we do not want to participate in. Or if we participate, we are careful. We want answers. We are not easily forced into submission, especially in a democratic system where everyone has a voice, and in a system like in America where you have a choice also whether to get a jab or not. And if a sizable number of people of the population decide not to, and they are white evangelical, Christian evangelicals, then naturally it is a problem. And the New York Times, which is the premier, it's considered to be the newspaper of record for the world. According to the piece published in New York Times, it is the deeply held spiritual conviction or counterfactual arguments of white evangelicals in America that drive them to not get vaccinated, which is counterproductive to the attainment of herd immunity. So other people's death or a nation not coming out of COVID is pushed, the blame of that is put on, or at least there's an indication that they are saying or they're showing that Christians are responsible for it. The article went on to say that the opposition to vaccine is rooted in a mix of religious faith and a long-standing weariness of mainstream science, as well as a distrust of institutions and obsession with conspiracy theories. The sheer size of such a community, according to the article, poses a major problem for the country's ability to recover from a pandemic that has resulted in the deaths of 500,000 Americans. See? So basically, Christian evangelicals, and especially of the white category, are a problem. That's what they're saying. Now, this is another article which basically says that families should be a little bit more, not a little bit more accommodating, they should be very much accommodating to transgender youth. See, one need to understand that anxiety, depression, and suicide amongst the transgender children are pretty high. They are at the highest rates amongst any other categories. So now they have to blame it on somebody, right? And what they say is there are external issues that causes these high mental issues, okay, or external factors that affect the mental condition of these transgenders. It's not just the fact that they cut and chop their own body to become something else that the Lord has not put them into. What they are saying is a problem with the transgender is not the fact that they have become transgender, but the fact that the society doesn't accept them. So they want to make the society accept them. Young transgenders or trans people face high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. These elevated mental health risks largely stem from external factors such as discrimination, victimization, and most especially family rejection rather than from being trans. So that is the problem. That's what they are saying. The problem is with, again, another indication is who are the ones that actively reject this kind of lifestyle? It's the Christians, right? It is a believing community. It's these unbending, conservative Christian fundamentalists that do not accept this kind of secular, anything goes kind of a system. M. Matsuno, a research fellow at Palo Alto University, is currently developing and testing an online training program called the Parental or Parent Support Program to help parents better understand and support trans youth. They talked with Conversation USA about their findings and how parents can be better advocates, and avoid common missteps when a child identifies as trans or non-binary. So now the parents have to accept it. People will have to accept it. That's what they are saying. See, the world doesn't want to hear anything other than the fact that, uh, these things are right and the world wants everybody to accept it. They are not willing to give any leeway to anybody, especially to the Christians. And this is how persecution is slowly rising up. These are the initial seeds of it, if you really look at it. And this is a worldwide it's a worldwide accusations that will be brought up brought on Christians. China launches new app allowing citizens to report others for expressing mistaken opinions. Now, understand one thing: if you want to look or see how the Antichrist system works, you just have to look at China. That's where you need to look at, because they are controlling about 2 billion people. That's about one third, but nearly one third of the population of the world. And they are doing it effectively in a sense. Right now, the computing technology is not broad enough to put all the 2 billion people into this net of surveillance. But they are surveilling sizable population, in the sense that suspective population, the population that they suspect, they are surveilling them actively. And they are able to control the masses by means of fear and using their cell phones to start kind of a social credit system where your credit goes up or goes down based on your activity and based on your behavior, based on your speech. And if it goes down, nobody wants their social credit to go down because it's kind of a stigma, right? And these numbers tend to control you on a day-to-day basis and actively during the day. And so there's also a feeling that you're being watched. And all these things combined together, you see the Antichrist spirit working. Probably not the Antichrist, but the Antichrist spirit certainly working in this system. The new platform will target anyone who criticizes the dictatorship's ruling CCP, disputes the official version of the country's history, or engages in misinformation. That's what they know. They want everybody to think the same. They want everybody to speak the same. They want everybody to act the same. No dissension or no controversies, nothing will be allowed. For a while now, some people with ulterior motives have spread historically nihilistic false statements online, maliciously distorting, slandering, and denying the party, national and military history in an attempt to confuse the people's thinking, the announcement said. That's what that was announced in launching this app. This is what the Chinese government, especially the department that monitors internet activities, said as to the reason for creating this app and asking people to be participants in it. We hope that most internet users will play an active role in supervising society and enthusiastically reporting harmful information. See what they are doing? They are trying to give an explanation, but at the same time, they create an app that will police. The population itself is policing, and it creates spies within the community, and people will be afraid to speak anything against the government, or anything that the government deems to be good will have to be accepted by everybody, and nobody will speak against, even in private conversations. Okay, private conversations are also being monitored, because now you have an app and you can just write the information there and send it to the government. So this is what electronically this is how electronically dictatorships and severe governments are able to control their masses. I don't know, I don't remember who said it, but a societal scientist or a political scientist in the 1950s said this: when technology develops to a point where it becomes very advanced, naturally societies will be very hierarchical, where the person in the top of the hierarchy is able to control, and that's exactly what we see here. Let me see if I can play a video here.
Nobody does authoritarianism quite like China. By 2020, every citizen will have a social credit score that will go up and down based on their personal behaviour. Behaviour leading to a deduction in credit will include jaywalking. Bad driving, smoking on trains.
Dear passengers, people who travel without tickets or behave disorderly or smoke in public areas will be punished according to regulations, and the behavior will be recorded in the individual credit information system. To avoid any negative record of personal credit, please follow the relevant regulations.
Buying too many video games, buying too much junk food, buying too much alcohol, calling a friend who has a low credit score, merely having a friend online who has a low credit score, posting fake news online, criticizing the government, visiting unauthorized websites, walking a dog without a leash, letting your dog bark too much. At least in 1984, Winston Smith could take a train to temporarily escape the surveillance state that he laboured under. In China, low-ranked citizens will be prevented from taking buses, planes and trains.
我现在是已经被限制这个自由的出行了，就是订票啊，我们高铁和飞机都不行。我跟你演示一下，我们用这个 APP 来订票。现在是我们从重庆到西安，我们来订一张票，订一张过几天的票。
And what does it say?
然后就显示那个出票失败，说我已经被法院依法限制高消费，限制乘坐 G 字头列车。
Now, where have I seen that before?
That's reserved for members of our Prime Flight program. You got to be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
Well, that's not my fault. Some woman dinged me down in the cab. Can't you just...
I'm sorry, it won't let me book it without the correct ranking.
6.7 million Chinese people have already been prevented from buying air and train tickets, and the system hasn't even been properly rolled out yet. The punishments for citizens whose credit score sinks too low are limited only by the imagination. Renting a house, getting a loan, booking a hotel, filling up a car with petrol, all will be restricted.
I can't buy property. My child can't go to private school, he says. You feel like you're being controlled by the list all the time.
Good behaviour will also be rewarded by green channel benefits, free perks, discounted loans, fast-tracked visa university and job applications, VIP airport access, faster internet speeds. Dating websites are even offering users with high credit scores better visibility on Tinder-style apps. The loyal informant will be well taken care of, and the entire system will be overseen by an estimated 400 million surveillance cameras with facial recognition software.
Cameras record them going through intersections, zero in on their face, and then publicly shame them on nearby video screens.
And it will eventually encompass real-time geolocation tracking of citizens via their cell phone. Overall credit scores can go up and down in real time based on a person's behavior, but it can also be affected by the people they associate with.
2 stars? 2 stars?
Wasn't a meaningful encounter.
Everyone is a little bit heightened and false because everyone's terrified of being marked down because the consequences of that are unpleasant. So it's basically the world we live in.
And all this will eventually be unified in a centralized database. In the words of the Chinese government, if trust is broken in one place, restrictions are imposed everywhere. They literally say that those deemed untrustworthy will be, quote, unable to move even a single step.
一个人如果信用不好，我们实现的一个目标就是让守信者通行天下，让失信者寸步难行。
When you ask Chinese people about social credit, most of them say it's great. Gee, I wonder why.
I think it's a good thing, this woman said. It makes people more honest.
我觉得这种东西应该更加多一点。
我倒觉得挺好的。
Could it be because under that very same social credit system, they will be punished for criticising the social credit system? But social credit isn't just about behaving yourself, it's about marshalling the behaviour of others, the prisoners guarding the other prisoners. The Chinese government just doubled the reward for reporting the illegal publishing of pornography. I'm not going to work today, wrote one potential porn buster on Weibo. I'll look everywhere for materials so I can report anyone who I find disagreeable. There's money to be made in reporting, so what am I doing working myself to death? China already has a spy program to rival the East German Stasi. In one area of Beijing alone, Chaoyang, there are around 120,000 paid informants in operation. Once social credit kicks into high gear, so many more thought criminals will be detected that all those Uyghur Muslims in Chinese re-education camps are going to have a lot more company. The Uyghur minority is already forced to download an app that reports their entire browsing history and real-time location to authorities. Now that same system will be extended to all Chinese citizens. But who cares about what's happening in China, right? I mean, it's not like they're selling the same technology to be used in the West, is it? Think that a social credit score could never happen over here? Well, think again, because it already is. Thanks to Silicon Valley. People are already losing their public square platforms for voicing dissenting opinions. People's trustworthiness is already being ranked by social media giants depending on what links they post. People are already being refused bank accounts, e-commerce, and the ability to raise money for expressing controversial ideas.
Isn't Silicon Valley basically doing this anyway? They've started to kick people off. If people have the wrong political views here in the United States, of all places, they can get kicked off payment processors. Nope, you can't do e-commerce. Nope, we're not going to host your website. Nope, you can't have social media. No, you can't use our email service. No, you can't have a blog. It doesn't even have to be on-site behavior. No, you can't have a Twitter because you said something we don't like on YouTube. No, you...
Now Democratic 2020 candidate Andrew Yang wants a social credit style system introduced in America. Just imagine going to buy groceries with your credit card, and then because someone in an office somewhere in San Francisco deemed something you posted on the internet to be hateful, your transaction is declined. I mean, forget even trying to pay. Your implantable microchip will be blocked, so you won't even be able to enter the shop. That's our collective future. Entire organizations funded by government are devoted to identifying and destroying people's careers for the crime of wrongthing. People are being disowned by their own family members and ostracized from society merely for being conservatives. I mean, why blame China? All they're doing is formalizing and systemizing what's already in existence in the West through mob outrage culture and public shaming. We're already living under social credit score light. And while the Western media lambasts China for their social credit score, they simultaneously cheerlead and lobby for an almost identical system in their own backyard. No, it's not just wrong when they do it. It's wrong when it happens here, and whether it's giant corporations or government orchestrating it all, it makes no difference.
So that is what they are actually doing in China, okay? And this is exactly the AntiChrist system, one way or the other. It is the AntiChrist system that is working there. Of course, they do not know.
Pretty close.
Pretty close, yes. It's pretty close. What is the thing that actually restricts them? It is basically computing power, right? Right now, the computing systems or the computing environment doesn't have enough computation power to deal with billions and billions of people. But once artificial intelligence combined with quantum computing comes into online, then they will be able to do these things for the whole masses, for everybody. And so that is what they are waiting for, and that is what the world is waiting for. We know these things because it is written in the scriptures. Ultimately, everybody has to be tracked. You see this spirit in Augustus Caesar. He wanted everybody, every head in his empire to be counted. It is the typical nature of authoritarian rulerships and people who have the Antichrist spirit working in them or through them. To have control over the masses, they have to do something. They have to some way or other know who all are in there. Taking the census is not necessarily wrong. It is not wrong. But taking census to control people and to know their whereabouts and to deal with them accordingly is wrong, scripturally. That's why the children of Israel, they were enabled, or they were asked to take census once in a particular time period, but not willy-nilly whenever they wanted. But the Antichrist spirit is entirely different. It's the opposite.
So David did that once and he got punished.
Exactly, yeah, because it is not...
Why it was considered wrong at that point?
Because number one, there's a particular time when the census is to be taken. Number two, whenever the census is taken, you need to give a redemption price for each male to the temple. As a redemption price in silver that has to be given. Now, David, without fulfilling the responsibility to appease his ego, he went ahead and counted the people, but did not pay the amount. Because it's difficult to pay, because it has to come out of David's hand, right? It's not going to come out of the people. People knew that, whenever they have to take a census, people knew, okay, this money has to be paid. And individually they paid it, or there was some way of paying it. But this census taking was David initiated, because Satan tempted him into it. It was out of place, and the responsibilities were not fulfilled. So that was the error there. Anyways, it is the Antichrist spirit. You see the spirit actively working. Every nation is trying to some way or the other control the people. In the United States, in the West, this control is through corporations. Right now, corporate bodies are doing this. For example, Amazon, in a way, as far as Amazon publishing is concerned, they are not publishing books that stands against their ideology. The case of Twitter and Facebook, you know it, that they're actively blocking certain people, regardless whether it is there, whether you're following their policies or not, they'll find some reason to just block you and shut you down. So now it is easy to control a person in a finer sense, certain areas of that person's life. But we are coming to a point where the whole person can be controlled. Okay, we are coming to that point. So this is in the news. By the way, I want to apologize for the language that was involved in that video. I tried to cut over it, but was not able to. But anyways, let the Lord bless us with the content matter.